Back live and direct. Finally, bro. After I said I'll be back on Monday, I am like 2 hours late than my usual time, but I want to make sure to get this stream back out with you guys. But we should be back to streaming as normal, 6 p.m. every single day for at least an hour. We should be back to it. This was a busy week, the past kind of 2 weeks. Trying to plan out all this new content. I want to try all these new different things for you guys, just to be able to cook harder and do more shit for y'all because, I'm really enjoying this shit. I'm enjoying the grind. And, you try to cook for the fam, man. As the fam leader, I gotta find better ways to cook and go harder and do shit like that. So, always got to just keep it player. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the little 2 podcasts that I actually dropped on my YouTube, which you guys should definitely check out. The link is in the description, so you can check that shit out. So that's kind of been kind of my focus over the last week or two, trying to make sure, let me get more consistent with this. Let me get better with that shit. But, I promised y'all we're going to go over again the Tate, Nick, and Myron podcast because I streamed this. What was that? What was that on Saturday? Was that Saturday? Saturday, Friday, or Sunday like that when Myron, Tate, and Nick had their podcast. So I was like, oh, shit, let me actually just react to this real quick. I got a moment. So we started it, but they were already going through. So I'm going to go back and start it actually from the beginning now. I already have it pulled up already. So I'm going to go back from the beginning and then we'll watch it through, react to it, see any valuable information that I could drag out of that shit to make sure you guys can use it for your own lives and, just cook harder because in the fam, we're here to achieve all our goals and reach our ambitions, and also reach the peak of our masculinity, of course, you know what I'm saying? And the only way to do that is to gain power. So let me get that shit going up right now, and then let's just get right into it, you know what I'm saying? Because we like to move quick on this bitch. So, all right, cool. Go full screen. Let's get right to it.
Talked on the election stream, and we've done some other things. So I do think there's a
hopefully that's not too loud for you guys.
lot of agreement. And, I saw your tweet the other day, and, I think the Groypers took it a certain way. I took it a certain way. But the fundamental point, I think we're in agreement. So I think.
Yo, this shit lagging, bro.
Probably by the end
Hold
of
on.
I mean, actually, the absolute. That can't be people inside lines. Doesn't matter to white kids. Between notes, you're going to
turn your. I know. Yeah. So, and Nick, I don't know if you could turn your camera off, then turn it back on. I think that might fix the lag.
Yeah, the point I was making is that which of them, some
I just don't want you guys have to deal with the lag.
Sound a bit like the blacks. Large.
Need to be a distinction stance. Oh, you only have a problem with me because I'm
Okay, I think it's better now.
black. Oh, keeping the black man down. All this kind of stuff. The reason we call them Wigger nationalists is because they have kind of adopted the worst aspects of black identity politics, which is to say, oh, you have a problem with me because I'm white? Oh, they're keeping the white man down. Oh, well, they'll just call us.
That's what damn, this shit was 9 hours. Oh, I think it's because he was. Oh yeah, I remember because he was talking to Sneeko after too. So I was like, damn, this shit was 9 hours, my nigga. No, it was not. But anyway,
Racist. Well, they'll just call us Nazis. And my attitude towards the problem is always, they can't stop us. If you go like I did and tell the truth directly and articulately, and you don't let them suppress you, at the end of the day, they really can't stop you. I think I'm living proof of that. And I encourage all my followers, don't make.
Oh, basically just to rekindle your guys' memories a little bit. So basically, Tate had a tweet where he was mad at the Groypers, which is basically Nick's fan base, because they were they're like anons, they're anonymous. They basically don't do real things in the real world. They know the truth about our government and how we're controlled by Jews and all this other kind of nonsense. But it's all right, that's cool, but you need to do more than that. And I agreed with that sentiment too. So you guys can also rewatch that stream if you want to a little bit. I think I clipped it, some parts of it too, and put it on my YouTube, so you can check it out there too. But basically, the point is, Tate was like, all right, Nick, cool. Your fan, what you're saying is the right thing. What you're doing is great, but your fan base is kind of dragging you down because they're kind of anonymous and doing whatever the fuck that they acting like they really have real power and influence to change this shit when they're kind of just anonymous on the internet on fucking X. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, nigga, you're not really doing shit. Let's keep it a stack. So that's what then led to this conversation where Nick kind of took that the wrong way, because during the same time and moment, Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson were basically calling Nick a Fed, basically saying that Nick was a Fed, that he's actually, not who he's claiming to be and shit like that. So then he thought, oh, Tate, it's the same. It's kind of like a organized attack against him in this current moment. So that's kind of what ended up happening. But, that's kind of what led to them having this conversation in the end, or ended up having them hop on this podcast. That's basically what happened. Tate was basically saying, all right, Nick, you're great. Your fan base, though, big issue. There are a bunch of anons and nobodies. So they can't really change the situation just because they know the truth about the Jews. You know what I'm saying? Like, cool, you know the truth, but you need to do something with that honesty. And I actually agreed with that sentiment. Like, hey, it's great, you know, to know the truth about things and know the reality, but you have to do something with knowing the truth. Application is what's important. But anyway, we'll continue. So I think here he's kind of saying, like, or at least, because I also said too last stream when I was going over this, like, it's not that like Nick is like, I disagree with Tate. Like he agrees with that sentiment. I don't think he's ever been in a position where he was like, oh no, I don't think my fan base should be working hard and becoming important and influential at all. So anyway, I'm just gonna let him clear it up himself. But just to give you a quick background, if you're new to this whole situation.
Excuses. Don't go around and say, oh, it's because I'm white. Oh, well, they'll never let you say that. They'll never let you do that. They'll say you're racist. I say, try and stop us. What do you mean let? They're not going to let us. We're going to do whatever we want. And so I tell my followers, get as intelligent as you can, read books, learn languages, learn a musical instrument, go to the gym, get physically fit. I tell people, get into the best college you can. And if you're not interested in going that route and networking, then be an entrepreneur, make as much money as possible, infiltrate politics. But I guess
because even the same sentiment that I was saying, even with anything that you guys do, y'all, like, you know, I want everyone to love where they live. You know, primarily my channel would be for American men. You know, like, even if you're not American and you're watching this shit, it doesn't really matter, because it also still applies. If you're young and ambitious and you want to become successful, you could do that shit anywhere. It's not like really country based, you know. But I do love America. I do love this country. I'm nationalistic towards America. I love America, you know. Like, I'm not gonna hide that shit from you niggas. So point being with that is, like, it's like, for the fam generally, you know, it's about winning and becoming successful and as important as possible. But like, it even gets bigger than that. Like, you're doing these things so you can love the place that you live. That's the whole goal here, you know, because if you really do love some place that you live, then you would do whatever it takes to become as important or as capable as possible in said place that you live. You live in the United States. You love the United States. Well, the only way you can love this country is to be capable of defending said country. Makes sense? Like, if you love the United States and you want to do whatever it takes to defend the United States, well, you can't defend your own country or the way your country is being run if you're a nobody, if you're a bum. Even if you know the truth about all the issues that the United States has, like, okay, great, you know, but if you're not capable, it doesn't matter. Anyway, that's what I was saying. Like, these niggas agree with each other. It was just like a miscommunication that caused all this nonsense for them.
I would diverge slightly if we're to get into, because I think we're in total agreement on that, and I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
I just would say I'm sure there's some groypers that are saying something like that. I would call that wignat, this like chest beat.
Hold on, I forgot to, you know, I had to stash in this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? What's your banner? Okay, cool. All right, let's continue.
Oh, it's because I'm white. They're keeping the white man down. You know, they are keeping the white man down, but we have to be worthy of our ancestors as white men and say, we don't need permission. We don't need to ask for permission. We're not going to let them get in our way. They're going to do bullshit to us, but we have to find a way to overcome. I guess where I would diverge slightly.
Kind of in the same way that, like, it's important to understand that it's strange to think that, or at least what I've noticed is, like, a lot of issues, especially in the United States now, it's like, for a lot of men, just generally speaking, they're like, well, I have a lot of issues with the country. The country's becoming worse and worse every single year. I have these problems. I complain about these issues, but it's like, I don't want to take the risk to change it, because it's the fear of, well, if nobody else is going to do anything, I'm just going to do something. I don't want to be the only one to take the fall. It's kind of like, anyways, just like when any movement is created, it's like, other people would only want to be willing to change shit if they see other people being willing to make a change. Because if you're the only one who's really trying to do something, or you feel like something is right or correct, if you're the only one, you know, really out there also trying to cook, it's like, that means you're taking on all the risk, and you also have to take on all the consequence if nobody else is there kind of with you. And it kind of like just lowers morale. It's just how human beings are in general. You know what I'm saying? When it's just crowd mentality, you see a bunch of niggas going one way, a bunch of niggas fighting against a particular thing, it's easier for you to just join. But if it's just you then it's like you kind of don't want to take that risk. So I think at least what I've noticed is that that's what's created a lot of issues. And I think generally when it's just come to like politics in general, you know, from with liberals especially, like how, and we saw this most aggressively like during 2020, like conservatives getting censored, canceled everywhere. It's like it's impossible to be openly conservative anywhere because there's just an army of liberals, and then it puts you in this kind of situation where I don't want my life to get fucked up, so I'm not going to kind of do anything. But it's like if you let evil people do whatever they want, they're just going to continue to do evil shit. Not saying that liberals are evil, even though like, yeah, them niggas are acting evil. Like, let's be real. But like the point being made here is like, if you kind of don't do anything, even if you're the only one taking on the risk, then everyone's going to lose anyway. So, but this is where the capability thing comes in. This is why like you need to become strong, because if you're capable, you're taking on less risk because you're capable. But if you're incapable, well, you're taking on all the risk, and there's a high there's a high chance of downside because you're not capable. This is why strength is the main thing here. I've talked about even before in the past how like you can only be a good person if you're strong, because evil people exist. And as long as evil people exist, you are essentially allowing evil people to get away with things by choosing to not be strong and not be capable and not be important and not be getting richer, faster, and smarter. You understand? Like you want to become these things so evil people can't do whatever the fuck that they want. Just like think about all the superheroes you've grown up watching, movies, action movies, whatever. You know what I'm saying? All these niggas had to be strong to beat the bad guy. They believed in a good thing, but it didn't matter unless they could beat the bad guy. So you have to still be able to beat the bad guy for good to prevail. But anyway, let me let them continue.
Because I hear this all the time, and directionally, I suppose I agree. But, you know, when you talk about the birth rates, you're 100% right that the birth rates are a problem. The white people are not having kids.
Yeah, they're not, bro. I'm not going to lie. Like, these niggas are actually going to go extinct. I think I showed you guys the stat of the percentage of white people going extinct right now, bro. It's like actually kind of wild. Let me see. White population in the U.S. Hold up. I'm just searching it up in another tab right now. In the U.S. over the last 10 years. Yeah, bro, since 2010, bro, this shit has decreased by like an insane amount. I just want to show y'all real fast. Right here. By 8.6%, bro. Literally, that's actually insane. And look at the multicultural population grew substantially, increasing by 276% since 2010, bro. Like, do you not know how wild that shit is, y'all? Like, they're actually going extinct. It's actually kind of funny. But, like, yeah, like, it's honestly kind of funny. I'm going to be real with y'all. Anyway. They are getting replaced. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. You white guys in here watching this shit? Yeah, y'all need to be having kids, bro. Like, I'm gonna be honest, or y'all are gone. Like, there's not gonna be a white country anymore. I'll be real with y'all. And there's nowhere else for y'all niggas to go. So, yeah.
And I hear people say this to me all the time. They say, you need to have kids. And I plan on doing that. I plan on getting married and having kids at some point.
Clean.
I guess where I would depart, even from
what I've said before already, is like, I think family is the most important thing for a man to have. And I'm actually going to explain this a little bit. You know, I think it's important. I believe very strongly that family is the framework. Family is the framework for everything. You know, like I talk about with the fam, it's for young, ambitious men, but I want you guys to be ambitious as possible and achieve as many things in your life as possible, because when you achieve great things, you can obviously have great things. You'll make a lot of money. You'll gain a lot of power and influence, right? And for this reason, you can share this with a family to your descendants. It's not really about generational wealth, really, but it's just like by going through things, you learn skills and you gain experiences. And these skills and experiences you can then impart to your children, and they become powerful. Because at the end of the day, what is even the point of gaining a ton of resources, wealth, and status or whatever just for yourself? You know, for men, at least we understand this responsibility. Women have absolutely lost the fucking plot. I'll be real with y'all. But like for men, we understand, you know, we try to become as strong as possible and as important as possible, not for ourselves. Maybe initially when you're younger, you might think that, but it's really so you can share this with someone. What's the point of having things if you can't give it to anyone or you can't influence anything or control anything? It's like, what's the point? And to me, that's what makes family the framework, you know? This is why all men should be having children and should be having kids. Family gives you that sense of structure. It's like we were built to serve. That's what we're built for. You know, when we can live and die for someone or something, that's when we're at our best as men. So having that family grounds you in that way, gives you that sense of purpose, which is why I think it's the most important thing for a man to have. This is why I absolutely hate. I'm like, when men are like, I don't want to have kids. I'm like, what the fuck are you here for then? You're just gonna be here serving yourself and your dumbass vices and be a degenerate or some shit? Like, what is the point of doing anything if you don't have children? Like, that's the main mission, is to have kids. You can worry about whatever other shit later. You know, obviously you want to gain capabilities and skills and abilities to be able to eventually have kids. You know, I'm not saying don't have your resources in place. I'm not saying drop everything and have kids right now. That's not what my point is here. I'm saying that family is the framework. So your goal with your ambition and achieving all your great goals and having your higher purposes so you can gain resources and important lessons to then impart to a family, because that's what ultimately is going to fulfill you. So all of you should be having kids. All of you guys should be planning to have kids. Children are the best thing that can ever happen to you. One of the best things, especially as a man. It's built into our biology to be this way anyway. We want to have fucking kids. We want to have babies. We want to spread our genes everywhere on some Genghis Khan shit. Like, we all want to do that. So you should be doing that, you know? All of you guys should have kids. Like, I'm telling you, family is the framework of everything. Family is really what makes achieving great things and becoming as powerful as possible fulfilling, you know, because you can spread this down. You can leave your legacy, right? All right, let's keep cooking.
My fellow white people who say this is that there is something structural happening where I don't believe the answer is that we're going to tell ourselves we all need to start having kids, because how many people are even political? How many people are aware of the white genocide? How many people are going to have kids as a response to this problem? It's a very, very tiny number. And it's not to say that we shouldn't contribute to the solution, but it is to say that we fundamentally must engage in politics. It's sort of like chess. You know, all the pawns.
Basically, the point that I would say he's trying to make here is that, like, the solution isn't just to have kids. The solution is to actually get involved what's going to create the real change, which is politics. But the thing is here, then it's just like, just do both. You can get involved in politics and have kids. For a lot of you niggas, that might not be the case, because the problem is, ultimately what happens to a lot of dudes, bro, is that your wife de-radicalizes you, because but my wife says I can't do this and that and whatever. And that's fucking stupid too. And that's just due to a lack of masculinity that we have in society nowadays too as well. So it creates a lot of issues, but fundamentally, yes, it's going to be politics. But, you know, overall, you could do both. Like, you can do both, but there's priorities, just like with whatever goals you're trying to achieve right now. You know, you're not doing everything at the same time. There's steps to different things. So
could simultaneously wake up one day and say, we need to have more white babies, we need to have kids. I think that's highly unlikely. We need to strike at the king. We need a regime. We need to engage in politics. And I don't just mean like voting.
And even to either way, it's like, this is what I'm saying. They agree on the same shit. It's like, either way, even if you want to get involved in politics and actually be good at what the fuck you do, you have to train. You have to become as capable as possible. It all leads to the same shit. All paths just lead to more effort every single time. And this is actually something I touched on before, but I actually kind of want to talk about it again. At the end of the day, all paths lead to effort. You know, I talk a lot about purpose and the importance of having purpose with what you do, because it allows you to continue to go through the trials and tribulations that it takes to become great. And that's true, because when you're fulfilled by what you do, you're willing to sacrifice more and put in more effort. And that is true. And I'll kind of separate purpose from passion, because passion is more like the emotion and just enjoying every single second of what you are doing. I would say purpose is like, no, this is about a responsibility thing. I'm responsible to doing this thing. So it doesn't matter how much pain and suffering I go through for it. In the same way, how I just briefly talked about family. Like family is one of those things where many men are willing to sacrifice their happiness in order to serve their family, you know? And passion is more that kind of thing where you're only doing this thing because you enjoy the vibes of it, you enjoy the emotion behind it. And it's super important to understand that to achieve and gain a ton of power in your life, it eventually all just becomes work. Everything always breaks down to you have to work harder every single time. If you want to gain power, it breaks down to you have to put in more effort, you have to make more sacrifices. That's what it becomes. It's not like you could have whatever vehicle for whatever goals you're trying to achieve right now. For example, you have whatever vehicle, whether you're an athlete, going into politics, becoming a lawyer, whatever the fuck it is. And you might be passionate about that path right now. You're like, this is great. I have doing this thing. I'm doing the thing that I love. But if you really want to be the best at that thing, if you want to reach the pinnacle of power in that whatever path you're on, it all just becomes work. It basically becomes just passionate. You're just waking up every day, work the entire day, go to sleep, do it again, over and over and over again. You know, it's not like maybe you're losing creativity or anything like that. It's just like, it's just work. You just know I have to just get this done. All of it just feels like work. It's not just you doing the passionate shit. It's like doing all the other things outside of it that are also important. Almost like when you're an athlete or trying to become one of the best athletes in the world at what you do, it becomes less of, oh, I just got to go to the field and train and that's fun. No, it's everything outside of that. You got to make sure recovery is good. You got to make sure you're eating well. You got to make sure you're sleeping right. You got to make sure you're stretching well. All of these details go into you reaching the pinnacle of power in whatever path you're on. You know, specifically here, I was talking about the athlete example, but you just apply this to whatever current path you're on. It all just becomes work. So to then say that really the only way to reach the pinnacle of power of anything is to really just love work and just love effort and just to love pushing yourself just in general. You know, every path is unique for whatever goal you're trying to achieve. But at the end of the day, you just have to learn to love work because your passion for whatever particular thing, it doesn't matter. That's not what's going to take you as far as possible, because eventually you're going to have to work harder in order to become better. And you're going to realize that I'm losing this passion because this is starting to just feel like work, but it needs to just feel like work. It needs to just become like this. I'm just working endlessly to gain a ton of power. And that's just something you're going to have to learn to accept eventually. You know, sooner is obviously better than later, but you're going to have to accept that this is just work. Reaching immense power, especially as a man, is just work. It's just endless effort. The path can be unique, but when it comes to power, it's just, you're going to just be working a lot. So you have to learn to love the effort. You have to learn to love the work. You have to decide that, no, the work just matters. Putting in effort is what matters the most. Not what path I'm on necessarily. Because I kind of see to myself, I'm like, I could be doing anything. But at the end of the day, because I want to be as powerful as possible, it's like, I'm just going to use whatever vehicle I'm in, use whatever skill sets I currently have, and become as powerful as possible. Power is what matters. Power dictates everything, what you'll be capable of doing, where you can go, who you can protect, the nation you're in, defending the nation you're in. You just need power. Doesn't matter the vehicle. It all just becomes work. So you'll get to a point where it's like, really fuck the passion. You know, there's purpose behind what you do, but the effort is really what matters. So it's important. Just tattoo that shit on your brain. It's super important to understand. It's all just work. There is no passion, bro. It just all eventually becomes work. You want to reach the pinnacle of power of anything, it just becomes work. So we keep going.
I mean, we need to become resourceful, influential, rich, run media, be entrepreneurs, you know, pay politicians to run for office.
You see how even everything he just said there is just work. Becoming all those things, it just becomes work. You know, you're not following your passion there, where you're doing one specific thing that you really like doing. It's like, no, you have to become all these things to reach the pinnacle of power as a man. I think it's super important to become full stack. And that's even another thing I'll kind of talk about too. Wow, it's just like smoothed into me thinking about that. You know, we like to think that as men, or maybe a lot of men will fool themselves into thinking this, that we can just be one thing. Oh, we just need to have money. Oh, we just need to look good. Oh, we just need to be famous. When in truth, to truly be competent as a man, and honestly, just the masculine ideal is to just be elite in every single way. I'll just use Batman as an example because it's so easy. Like thinking about Batman, for example, why do so many men like Batman? Because if you think about Batman, he is literally everything. Billionaire, super intelligent, an extremely capable fighter, has an overarching purpose for his life, which is protecting Gotham from villainy, And he uses all his capabilities to do that. He's influential, smart, intelligent, has status, has money, has game, playboy, Bruce Wayne, literally has everything. Because that is really the masculine ideal. The masculine ideal is not, oh, let me just have my one little passion that I am following, or let me just be rich, or let me just have status, or let me just look good, or let me just be in the gym all day. You know what I'm saying? No, you need all of it. You need all of it. And I urge all of you guys to become full stack. I want you guys to all become full stack. No, you want to be good at everything. And when I say good at everything, I don't mean you're pursuing multiple different paths at once. I'm not saying you need to be a lawyer and an athlete at the same time. Don't misinterpret this. What I'm saying is, even if you're choosing a vehicle and or career, it doesn't mean you have to be stupid in other ways. It doesn't mean you don't need to understand human nature. It doesn't mean you don't need to be physically competent because what you're doing doesn't require physical competence, right? It doesn't mean, oh, you should just ignore having money. It's just about being capable in other ways. It's just about being in the gym all day. No, you need to have all these things to be full stack as a man. And as I just said, that's the ideal. Why do you think Batman is so popular? Because the male ideal is that. That's literally the male ideal. You are rich as fuck. You have a ton of bad bitches around you. You're super intelligent, super capable. You have fast, nice cars, a nice building. You got a butler working for you. Whatever it is, it's like that is really the masculine ideal. So I want you guys to understand in your mind, whatever career path you're following right now, whatever goals that you are pursuing, still the ideal is to be full stack. Never underrate any other ability. Don't be like, oh, I just need to have money. No, you need to have money, and you need to be famous, and you need to be influential, and you need to be charismatic, and you need to be physically capable, and you need to be able to defend yourself. Yes, you need to do all these things. And you might be like, damn, Ollie, that's a lot of shit. But it's fun if you have all those things. It's worth it to pursue that. It's not like you're going to get to live again. Are you going to live forever, nigga? No. So it's worth it to pursue all these things. You want to be full stack. I never have ever sat and thought to myself that, oh, I just want to be rich, or I just want to be famous, or I just want to have bad bitches, or I just want to look good. Like, I'm like, no, I want to have all these things. I want to be capable of all these different things. It doesn't mean you're chasing multiple careers. You know, you choose your one vehicle and you make money in that, for example, but also you make sure you are becoming capable in other ways. You're staying physically fit. You're learning about female nature. You're improving your social skills. You're improving your political understanding, right? You're learning different things. You're becoming more educated so you can become more capable overall as a man. All these things are important, and all these things is what makes your life so fulfilling as a man. Why would you live your life and allow yourself to be incapable by choice? It's a choice. There's men out there who are like that, who are full stack in all those ways. Bad bitches everywhere, nice cars, fast cars, incredible status, tons of money, very intelligent, super educated, getting smarter every single day. Men do this. So you should do it too. Anyway, I just really just thought of that. I'm like, yeah, bro, like you don't want to just, because even the things he listed and connecting back to what I was saying just before, is like, it just becomes work, bro. Because it's not enough to just have the money. It's not enough to just have the status. You're fooling yourself if you think that's it. You need to have all these things. It's what really makes your life fulfilling as a man. It's what makes it beautiful to be a man, because you can be all these things if you're willing to train, if you're willing to put into work, of course, which you all should be.
And we need to use politics to change society. Because when you look at the strategy of like the Jews as an example, they're 2% of the population, but they have this extraordinary influence. That's because they go for the locus of power. They're in LA, they're in New York City, they're in DC.
They are controlling a lot of the money and the banks.
Most powerful cities in the world.
They're also controlling a lot of the media, like all the things that control a lot of people, money, media. What you can see being media, all the things, the information you're consuming, the media, and then the money, you know, what everybody's using to survive, what value is inherently money. So
they're in San Francisco,
or at least how value is exchanged.
They're in El Segundo. They're striking at the locus of power. And from the locus of power proceeds the cultural standards, proceeds these dominant narratives in the education system from academia. And so I'm really a believer.
Why do you think in like whatever public school you more than likely went to in the United States, bro, it's like there was such a huge emphasis on the Holocaust, right? There was such a huge emphasis. I bet even in your curriculum, bro, like you had to read a book on the Holocaust. You had to, like it was forced in there. Like basically an entire generation of kids growing up were forced to learn about the Holocaust and learn that Hitler was a really bad dude and all these other kind of things. Like, you were forced to, because they control that shit. They made sure that this dude is bad. Believe this dude is bad. They made sure. This is power. This is why I say it's so important to become as capable as possible, because you can't really defend against these things, if you don't become as capable as possible. And credit to the Jews in that way. As he even said, them being 2% of the population and making sure that they control a lot of the power when it comes to controlling narratives and money as well. It's like, bro, it's incredible when you really think about it. So,
not in as much saying
the best way to improve yourself is to make sure you can learn from your enemies as well. It takes a higher level of intelligence to do that. You really have to be able to pull yourself away from your biases, but you have to be able to learn from your enemies. The best way to defeat your enemy is to learn from your enemy.
Oh, white people in general need to have more kids. Certainly that's a good thing. But it's more like, I want the most brilliant, elite human capital, the smartest, richest, best white people to become as powerful as possible, take over the institutions, and from the institutions promulgate a message of fertility, racial solidarity, national solidarity.
That's why it all comes down to the work, bro. Everything you do as a man that is not for more power is a waste of time. Because every problem you run into as a man is from a lack of power. I'm gonna say that even again too, because I'm telling you, like, today I'm just cooking today, man. Just anyway, it's important to understand everything you do as a man that is not in the pursuit of is not in the pursuit of more power, right? Will force you, or at least will force you to distract yourself first from having power. Like, you have to do whatever it takes to pursue more power, because all the problems you will deal with as a man will be from your lack of power. All the problems you deal with. Think about everything you complain about, everybody who annoys you. All these things are probably because you're not rich enough. You're not powerful enough. You're not as skilled as you could be. Understand? The bitches you're complaining about, well, but if you were richer, this wouldn't really be a problem. The place that you currently live, well, if you're richer and more capable, this really wouldn't be a problem. Understand? And the list just keeps going on from there. Which is why everything you do that isn't in the pursuit of more power is a complete and utter waste of time. Because every problem you will deal with will be because you lack it. So meaning the only true way for you to live as a man, or to enjoy your life as a man and be fulfilled as a man, is to pursue power endlessly. Because it ensures that any problem you will run into will eventually be solved. If you're constantly pursuing more power and getting stronger and more capable, any problem you're more than likely dealing with right now will eventually not be a problem anymore, because you'll gain the power to solve it. Understand? Meaning the only problems you should have or should be dealing with that are okay to actually deal with are problems you're naturally going to run into on the path to gaining power, right? Because when you're on the path to gaining power, obviously you're going to have to take a lot of risks. You're going to have to put in a lot of effort. You're going to have to make a lot of sacrifices, right? And this is going to cause issues that you're going to have to solve. You're going to have to solve problems. And it's good that you're solving these problems, because solving these problems will do what? They will make you more powerful. And with that power, you can solve previous problems you had due to your lack of power. So it's almost like when you hear every man complain or be annoyed or mad or whatever, it's basically saying, I'm weak. I have weakness. And it is a massive issue in my life. But I'm like, okay, nigga, why aren't you spending your money or your time on becoming more intelligent, becoming more educated, becoming more skilled, or gaining more abilities, or paying for more skills and abilities? Why aren't you doing that? That means you're choosing to keep the problems you currently have. Fucking stupid, right? When you really think about that shit, it's like you're literally choosing to keep the problems you currently have, because you're not spending as much time and effort becoming smarter and more capable, more intelligent, gaining more abilities and skills. You want to keep the problems you have, right? It's innate to you as a man, bro. You want to become power. You want influence. You want these capabilities. It's innate. And trying to ignore that fact is what causes your life to have so many problems that you have to continuously deal with forever. Whereas the only problems that are actually worth having are the ones that you're going to run into on the path to power, because you'll gain that power and be able to solve previous problems, which creates a cycle of fulfillment for you as a man. Don't ignore your desire for power, bro. This is why this is for young, ambitious men. It's worth it. The pursuit of power is the only thing that's truly worth it in this life as a man. It's the only thing that's worth it. Everything else is honestly a distraction. So your focus should be on power. Everything you do when you wake up every single day, you should be thinking, how can I get stronger? How can I get better? How can I get more focused, be more consistent, be more disciplined? How can I hunt my distractions more often and make sure I never get distracted? How can I do that? That's what your mind should always be at. It's most worth it. I'm telling you. All right, we keep going.
Consciousness. That's kind of where I'm at. And I don't think you'd even disagree, but it's just kind of like going a little step further on that.
No, I agree with you actually completely. And culture is the driving force behind all things. You know, I often comment on white people, black people. I'm in a unique position because I am a race mixed individual, which pisses off a large percentage of the internet. But this is how I was born, and that's how it goes. And there's not much I can do about it. But I would argue, besides your,
I didn't actually know his dad was black for a while, so he got a black dad, and his dad was actually a really good chess player too as well. But yeah, I didn't even know Tate was black. I was like, damn, I thought he was white for real. I was like during that time, especially like when he was blowing up. But yeah,
yourself, there's probably no one else with a platform as large as mine who speaks up for white people ever. And one of the problems with extreme right-wing white people is we have this infinitely divisible, constantly searching for more and more based to the point where no matter how much you do for them or try to help them, you're going to eventually not be based enough for them. And this is seen amongst white people in general. If we removed all the black people from Western civilization today, within 30 years, the Germans would be fighting the Italians again. I mean, that's what happened. Only 30 or 40 years ago, the Irish and English were blowing each other up. And now Ireland and England's both full of asylum seekers from the boats. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. So this infinitely divisible.
Hope you guys can hear this shit well, because their mics are a little bit low, but I don't want to make it too loud for y'all. But anyway.
This constant search for the more and more based version, I actually think in some ways subverts the whole movement. The movement you've launched is so fantastic. The cultural effect you've had is also fantastic. But the biggest threat to the movement is not going to be external. It's going to be internal. And there's a percentage of people, no matter what I say, in defense of you, in defense of white people, in defense of Western civilization, come along and say, because my dad is black, who was a chess genius, by the way, is the only reason I'm even smart, that I'm a piece of shit and I need to be kicked out or I need to die or whatever.
Yeah, because I mean, it is kind of true though, because at least what I've noticed just seeing it on X is like, yeah, like a lot of them though, it's like, it's true. It's just like infinitely looking for an issue with someone, even if they are like backing them and they're backing white people, bro. And I understand white people's plight very deeply. Like I really do see the situation. Like, as I just showed y'all earlier, like their population is literally shrinking like crazy. And I do think it's ridiculously unfair that every other race can basically be tribalistic. Like you can say Asian power, white power, Latino power, Hispanic power, and nobody gives a fuck. But if somebody says white power, oh, that's white supremacist, that's bad. I'm like, so basically white people are the only group of people who can not openly support their own race, you know? And I'm like, well, how is that really fair? You know, we try, or many liberals fucking try to be like they're promoting this idea of equality and inclusiveness. And it's like, yes, for everyone but white people, right? Because a lot of these things is like from a surface level understanding, you would think it's about equality. But when you just look a few layers deeper, you quickly understand that, no, this is really about getting rid of white people. That's really what it is. This is why white liberals are always so fucking funny to me. It's like, I'm like, nigga, you're literally quickly getting rid of yourself. The stats are there, bro. This is no bias in this shit. The stats are there. White people are literally going extinct in the United States. Every other race, for the population for every other race is increasing in the United States. White people are going down. So let's just be real. Like, I understand their plight. I understand why they would have an issue with shit. But it's like, I'd also agree with Tate in the sense of like, well, I get you niggas are mad and you want people to be super white based and whatever and blah, 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 blah. But it's just kind of like, you don't want to push away your allies. I actually made, or I said in last stream talking about how like, you got to understand who your allies are sometimes. You got to be able to see the greater evil here. Right now, white people are in a really tight spot from a race standpoint. You know, I'm not saying like they should go extinct or anything like that. And I'm not saying that I'm a white nationalist to any degree. It's just more like, hey, if you want to have pride in your own race, then you guys should be allowed to do that. And I don't know why, as a white person, seeing that your population is decreasing, you'd be mad at anyone who's willing to speak up for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd be like, okay, that's fine. I'm not that you have to rely on a nigga. That's not the point here. It's more like if people are willing to be open and actually be honest and tell the truth about your situation, that's good. You should be celebrating that shit. So it's just interesting when, you know, you will see a lot of them niggas on X be like, oh, well, that nigga's black or she's a race mixer or whatever, and they'll like kind of complain and be like, even if they're saying, even if these people understand their plight, they'll be like mad. Even me as a black guy right now, like saying this shit and being honest about this shit, they be like, oh, well, you're black, so who cares what you have to say or whatever? Fuck you. I'm like, well, I mean, you guys are going extinct, so you got to be able to see the big. You got to be able to always see a bigger enemy. You got to be able to zoom out and understand the situation you're in, and make use of the allies that are willing to help you, bro. So,
and I don't care because truthfully, I think it's hilarious. But
yeah.
when you have these
Speaking of funny,
anon accounts constantly going to a deeper and deeper level of everyone's a Jew, everything is this, everything is that, and they can't even get along with somebody who is clearly,
hey, maybe I'm Jewish, man. I need to check my ancestry.com. I'm gonna do that shit eventually.
On their side in the larger fight. This is how you're going to end up losing the fight in the long run. And I think that's where some of the problem comes from, which again is not even your fault, but that's the problem with that movement on as a whole. And I'm going to say one thing from a personal perspective. I do feel like there is a degree of ungratefulness. Once again, this is not your fault, but there's an ungratefulness amongst people and an ungratefulness amongst the internet. I remind the internet on October 8th, against all legal advice, I told Piers Morgan it was a genocide. I stuck up and was anti-Israel on Piers Morgan on October 8th before it was cool on the internet, very much like you. Now everybody does it. You did it before it was cool. I did it before I was cool. Anti-Semitism is a crime in Europe. They put me back on house arrest. I was locked in my house for 11 months because of what I said on a podcast. And now they turn up and tweet underneath that I'm a Jew. And I just think if that's how we're going to operate as a movement, we're only ever going to be a laughing stock to our enemies. And I agree with you about the locus of power. You're completely correct. And I think it's a multifaceted attack. But we have to be very...
It's just so funny how, like, niggas, like, anyway, like I've already said to y'all a bunch of times too, is like, if you're formulating your opinion on somebody in a 10-second clip or whatever, 12 seconds of seeing somebody, you're fucking retarded, bro. Like, there's really no other way to spell it out. Like, you don't know the guy. And it's funny, like, even what he's saying here, too, is like, most niggas have probably forgotten that he's the one who did that shit. And he lost money for speaking out. Like, well, I mean, definitely lost money and opportunities during that period for saying that shit and be like, no, it's actually a genocide going down there. The Jews are actually killing niggas, or Israel's actually killing niggas. Like, that's actually an issue. So he lost money for that. But niggas will forget that you did that shit. So it's funny, like, just because he's critical of anything that maybe the Groypers do, it just seems like, oh, he's Jewish. I'm like, you guys are stupid. But I think, honestly, what I've noticed is, like, every movement's going to have retards, though. Every movement's going to have stupid people. Like, that's just always going to fucking exist in every single movement, though. So, you know, I think at least for the most part, if you have a good amount of sensible people a part of your movement, you should be okay. Because you're always going to have the retards that are like, all right, everybody's everybody. Like, that exists in every single movement. And that's usually what everybody does when they're mad at another movement. Like, they'll nitpick niggas, right? For example, like liberals, they'll never argue with sensible conservatives or conservatives that actually understand their talking points to a deep level. They'll nitpick, like, you know, like the trailer trash type conservatives and talk about how they're stupid or whatever because it's easy pickings, you know? And then on the conservative end, a lot of the times they'll just make fun of the idiots and the degens. Well, not the degens, but the idiots and the stupid niggas, you know, like the overly liberal motherfuckers, like the blue hair and shit and the septum piercings and all that bullshit. I make fun of them niggas. But I mean, overall, liberals are dumb, man. I'm gonna be honest. But like, I'm gonna keep it a stack. But like, that's kind of the point. Like, people, when they want to attack your movement or discredit your movement or whatever you're thinking, they're going to choose the retards. So I think retards are just going to exist in every single movement, no matter what you do. But like, as long as you get enough sensible people, that's ultimately what the goal is, though. And obviously, Nick here is the leader of their movement, so he's like the sensible one, and he understands. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not even really an argument. These niggas agree with each other overall. So
very careful here, because if I owned a farm and all the sheep worked out that I had a slaughterhouse, and all they did all day was say, "That's a slaughterhouse. He's got a slaughterhouse," but they still walked into it, I wouldn't really care. There has to be a point where you don't obey what I want you to do. If they're trying to stop you from reproducing, then you must reproduce. If they're trying to beat you down so you don't make money because of usury, you need to make money. Yeah. If they don't want you to be brave, you need to be brave. You need to look at their exact playbook And instead of tweeting it at people, instead of accusing every single person who doesn't have an Anon cartoon account of being a Jew, you need to do the absolute opposite of what they want you to do. And I believe that's how we win. That's how.
Anyway, like, as I already said already, he said, okay, get into politics. And then he's saying, like, no, do the kids thing. And it's like, yeah, just do both. You want to do all these things. Like I said with the whole full stack thing just 10 minutes ago, it's just like you just want to be everything. That's really what happens. For men, we need to be everything. There is no you're just this. You actually got to be everything. You have to be extremely capable. It doesn't mean that you're trying to be the best in the world at everything. Obviously, you don't have enough time. But the point is, like, you want to be as capable and well-rounded as possible. And then obviously you have your special thing that you're very, very good at. But that doesn't mean you're not all around capable. No, you're all around capable. And then you have an amazing special thing that you're good at. If you look at anybody who's at the pinnacle of anything, that's just what happens. They get very good at everything. They have a specific thing that they're good at, but they're also above everybody else's level at the base, like at other things too. So
your movement and you become president of the United States. I think that's better for you and the movement as a whole. So when I made that tweet, that Groypers speak like a defeated people, that's because I'll say something, and I speak in absolutes. I absolutely do, and I think trolling is hilarious. And I make it clear that, you know, a white man, I say white man can't get a kid out of a woman unless he buys her 2 houses and 3 cars and a nanny. Ha, ha, ha. The Somalian can get 11 kids out of Fatima without a job.
I mean, that's true, though. Like, that's fucking true, though. Like, that's what fucking happens. Like, white people listen to their women. Anyway, that's also why feminism has destroyed this country, because white men listen to their women too much. Like, they listen too much. They've listened way too much. Now all the bitches are running around and are entitled, and it's really fucking annoying for everybody. It's really fucked up everybody. It's even fucked up them. This overly deserving shit. And they're like, oh, I want this amazing, you know, top guy who does this, that, and the third. And it's just like, all right, but nigga, every other bitch wants him too, so he's not going to wife you or take care of you. And then she just gets fucked for years and years and years, hits 30, all of a sudden, I want a family, and then she has to marry some bum-ass nigga that she's just going to take half his shit anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's like shit like that.
And I make a joke of it. All that replies is, well, now you're a Jew, you're a race-mixing Jew, you work for the Jews. And I just think that that is counterproductive to the good fight and counterproductive to your movement. That's my actual view.
At the same time, though, you got to recognize that if you're going to rage bait, you can't really be mad when people get mad. You know what I mean?
Mad. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. I mean,
it is, though.
Real nigga Tate. I call myself a nigger all day long. I think it's funnier than it is. I love trolling. I'm all for it. I'm just saying that if we're going to try and have a serious political movement here, then calling every single person a Jew because of some tedious or tenuous link, I think is disingenuous.
Very.
I think that, and again, this is just my personal view, and I don't know enough. Since I got released from house arrest after 3 years in my house in February, I haven't been online that much. And I noticed you said I didn't weigh in on the Candace Tucker thing. I'm not versed enough to truly weigh in. I haven't seen every video. I haven't seen all of it.
Speaking of being versed, and that's exactly what I would say he even means here when he says, like, well, you can't just immediately accuse somebody of being something if you're not even going to research anything. You should. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's almost like I keep saying it over and over again because it's like too many niggas do this shit. Like, do not formulate your opinions on anyone very, very quickly. I'm not saying Tate could easily switch up. Myron could easily switch up. Nick could easily switch up. You never really know. Like I was saying earlier, like they were calling this nigga a Fed like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you never know about anyone until you know about them. So of course, you know, you can show the links and show a lot of evidence, of course, of something. But it's like if you really don't know for sure, it's like could be, could not be. But just say, nope, you're definitely whoever I think you are. Oh, Tate's definitely a Jew, whatever, because he made a joke. It's like, come on, nigga. Like, let's actually be real. Let's you know, be a serious movement.
I haven't seen the back and forth. I've been with my children living my life. However, I would argue.
And I fuck with the Groypers too. Got no issue with them niggas, bro. Once again, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So anybody who's just like, Jewish supremacy is a problem in the United States, I'm like, I'm fucking with you. Like, I'm cool with you. I even talked about how, like, I would even vote Democrat if it came to that. I wouldn't care. It's like bigger issues to be solved here. You know, I can solve the other shit later. Like, I'd rather all our problems actually be America's problems than deal with those problems by first removing any outside problems like Israel. Understand? So, like, that's my play here.
That Tucker has red-pilled a lot of people who would never watch your show. about very important things that are happening in the American government that you'd agree with. I would say the same for Candace. I think of them on the good side of the fight.
Yeah.
And perhaps this is going to get me in trouble. I think of them as good people trying to do the best thing they can, which is tell their version of the truth. And they're by and large on our side. And I think this infinite, divisible, constant infighting, constant looking for who's the most base, constantly saying, well, he's done 99 things right, but this one thing makes him a Jew.
Yeah, it's gay. Like, that's obviously gay, bro.
I just think it's holding us back by and large.
I even mentioned too last stream about how, like, bro, when it comes to literally anyone in your life at all, like, you will realize that there's always something that you like or dislike about someone. It does not matter how much you fuck with somebody. You will find something that you dislike about them or something you disagree with them on. But you got to be, this is why the bigger picture thing here is most important. It's like, you are always going to find an issue with somebody. Like, expecting perfection from niggas in an imperfect world is fucking stupid. Like, let's just be real. You know, if you know this nigga's going to be willing to stand and die against this enemy that you're against, you know, more than welcome. I don't have to agree with you, but if you're like, man, I would die for you, but I disagree with you on all these different things, I'm like, well, you would die for me, so you're cool with fucking me. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I would die for a nigga, it doesn't matter how much I disagree with you on. I would literally give up my life to be able to think things for you. So it doesn't matter. You have to be able to see the bigger picture here. Like, it's just funny to me. It's like, you're gonna always find something that you dislike about someone, but if you're like, hey man, I'll take a bullet for you though. It's like, does it really matter? Fuck no.
Large. That's my personal view, but it's not my movement. So I'm just saying what I see it as from the outside.
Well, and you know, maybe that's where the disagreement lies, because I talked with Alex Jones about this yesterday. We didn't even plan on talking about it, but he brought it up. Obviously, I'm in this big feud with both Candace and Tucker Carlson right now. And I see it being characterized on Twitter by some people as infighting. And I would agree with you. I would tend to agree with you that if I were an outside observer, I would look at Candace and Tucker and myself, and I would think we're all on the same side. We're all pushing in the same direction. Certainly, we're all criticizing Israel. We're all against the war in Iran and the rest of it.
And that's the biggest issue. So I'd be like, well, that's good though. Like, that's great. That's the biggest problem. Like,
and that's what I would tend to think. And yet, when I went out and did Candace's show, instead of talking about what we had in common, she wanted to talk about all the things that we had apart. And she in particular wanted to press me on if I really hated Jews and if I was really a racist. So that confounded me, because
that's women. That's a problem. That's the problem is women though. That's like, bruh, women, bruh. Like, that's why women in politics also makes no fucking sense. But hey, you know what I'm saying? As at the end of the day, still good work for her for red pilling her a lot of people, like a bunch of people that Nick wouldn't be able to, about Jewish supremacy at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Women being in politics, not really fucking with that. But once again, like I'm saying, you got to be thinking bigger picture here. So anyway, I'll just let him continue.
If I'm an outside objective observer, maybe without all the information, I would say, wait, aren't Candace, Tucker, and Nick on the same side? But being me, I went to do her show with my suit on, ready to talk about the Iran war, the neocons, all this kind of stuff. And she's pressing me, why do you hate Dave Smith? Is it because he's Jewish? Do you hate Jews for being Jewish? Are you a racist? Is that why you're against race mixing? And so I finished the interview, and not to relitigate the whole thing, but this is just a summary of it. I finish the thing and I get on my show and I say, it's weird she's putting it behind a paywall. I said, and also I'm unhappy with what we talked about. I thought this was
that was kind of interesting.
An olive branch. Clearly it was some kind of like a lecture. I thought she was having me out to maybe extend an olive branch and connect. And instead I got a wagging finger from a woman in my face, which I don't really care for.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that was kind of wild. That was kind of fucked. So I understand why this nigga is mad, basically. Like, that makes sense why this nigga's mad. But I just keep saying again, it's like bigger picture here. I understand why he's mad, but bigger picture here.
And then, as if to make matters better, she goes with Tucker Carlson. And Tucker, who, you know, me and him have a bit of a history, he calls me a basement-dwelling, weird gay kid. He says I'm a CIA agent. He unloads this personal attack on me. And so, yeah, I wouldn't I would not characterize that as infighting. I would say, to me, that looks like a coordinated attack on me, and it's not purity spiraling. It is coming from.
And what I'd actually kind of say, though, in his defense, too, of this situation, like, if you think about it, you were going to start your career at 18. You had the wrong opinions about some shit. You get banned everywhere. You get banned from the career you were in because he was going to go into politics for conservatism, right? He was going to go into politics for conservatism. You get banned from everywhere, right? You get debanked. You get on the no-fly list. Like, you literally can't do anything anymore. So, like, I understand why this nigga's already sensitive to niggas attacking him, because, like, you just started your career at 18. You know, you're destroyed everywhere. You're removed from everything. So when a nigga starts trying to, like, point fingers at you and do some wild shit to you, I understand when a nigga would be mad. That's why I understand his situation here. You know, like I keep saying, like, bigger picture here, because it's true. I can still, like, empathize with that situation and be like, yeah, it's wild though. I understand. Like, if I had my life destroyed as soon as I turn 18, all of a sudden I'd be kind of standoffish with niggas. I would not really fuck with niggas trying me and shit. I'd be like, bro, you know what the shit I've been through? Not to even sound like a broken record there or sound like a nigga, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh man, the white people did this. But, like, kind of in the way, like, if somebody's fucking with me or fucked with me at such a young age, like, I would kind of be standoffish with a lot of people who even try to fuck with me again or say some shit about me, you know? And the nigga was making a lot of accusations against him. So I understand why, you know, the anger.
Them in the other direction, saying that I'm too extreme. In fact, that's literally what Tucker said. Tucker said that I am a crazy anti-Semite who is trying to.
Like I said, if I had my life destroyed at 18, I'd be fucking crazy too, bro. I'd be, bro. I'd be burning everybody, bro. I'll be fucking niggas up. Even for Tate.2, if I got locked in my house for 2 years to jail with no evidence of me committing any crimes, just allegations, just accusations, and I got sent to jail for 2 straight years, I would come out and I'm murdering everybody. Like, it just makes sense. I mean, but obviously you have to be able to really sit and think about, oh, if I was really in that fucking situation, I would probably be mad too. If I was in that situation, I would probably be standoffish with people who seem to be on the same side as me, even though they just did some sneak shit. Like, you're not fucking with that. So
make them look bad by being too ideologically pure. So, you know, maybe you've been away for a long time, you don't know what's going on, but it wasn't me coming at them for being soft. No, they were coming at me for being too extreme. And that's where I have to defend myself and say, wait a second, you're calling me a CIA agent? Your fucking dad was in the CIA. I said this to Tucker on this big show. A week later, Elon Musk is echoing what Tucker Carlson said, calling me a Fed. And it's in the context of this Matrix attack. I don't know what else you call that. That then you came on Twitter and said the thing about the Groypers. I think that's why they took it a certain way, because what it looked like was coordination. I don't know if you're in on that or not.
Yeah.
I don't believe you were, but certainly something weird.
See, as I mentioned earlier,
is going on. And it all coincided with what you said, which is, I'm on this generational run. I have broken containment. I'm going mainstream. Now, I would like to do a show with Tucker and talk about our similarities and differences. I would have liked to do that with Candace Owens, but it seems like they're trying to keep me out. They're trying to push me aside. As far as the movement's concerned, I'd like to be on the same page with them, but, you know, they don't feel that way about me. So, you know, I don't know. What's your thoughts on that whole situation?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. And like I said, I'm not fully versed on all of it. I guess there's 2 ways I can answer that question. At a certain point, and of course, you're a full-grown man, you make your own decisions. I'll be very clear that I like Candace. She's always been very respectful to me. I think she's fantastic at her job. I actually think she's amazing at what she does. I have nothing bad to say about her.
I said they're all cool people, bro. And at least even too for Candace too, other than even just the Jew thing too, at least she's one of the most prominent black women in the conservative space. You know, if she can bring a lot more black people to the conservative side, I got no issue with that either. This doesn't mean she's perfect, by the way. It doesn't mean by any means. As I already said earlier, it's not about, I'm not really searching for perfection. It's just like, hey, are you doing overarching things that matter the most right now? That's my main goal. We can keep, basically, once problems are solved, then we can start worrying about other shit. As I was talking about earlier, you prioritize bigger issues first. You deal with the big elephant in the room first. And then once we deal with that shit, then we can start judging other shit, right? For me personally, in my opinion, I don't want to really see women in politics at all. I don't think it's good for them to be in politics at all because they just don't have the same stakes as men do, right? We potentially have to go fight and die in wars. We build the entire country. We literally do everything that basically matters for this country. So for that reason, we should only be the ones that have the ability to influence the governments or the governance or how the country is run to any degree. Like, we should not give a fuck about a woman's opinions. Because at the end of the day, if we all live and die, well, if we all die, you know what I'm saying, we'll just go to another man, to another country, and be fine. So the stakes are just higher for us. So we are the only ones who should have a say, right? That only makes sense. Maybe some of you dumb niggas will be like, oh, Ali, that's stupid. That makes no sense. Well, fuck you. But point being is, like, that's just what it is. But you have to be able to see the bigger problems at first. But yeah, I don't have a problem with anybody, you know, that sees or is working for the bigger picture here. That was just one of the other things, at least for Candace, I'm cool with. Like, hey, man, black woman in the conservative space, one of the only ones. That's great. You know, she's doing the bigger picture thing, which is talking about Israel and, you know, the Jewish problem in the United States, at least, or bringing more awareness to it. So it's like, that's the main thing. That's the biggest issue that the U.S. is dealing with. Like, we're not even a free country like we claim to be.
I think that when people were saying the Bridget series was irrelevant, I think that's disingenuous. I think it's actually very relevant to find out if the most prominent country in the European Union is being run by a pedophile and his dad. I also think it's hilarious that she trolled Macron into having a meltdown. I think that trolling's funny, and I think it's funny. I don't know how anyone doesn't find that funny, that legal letters are flying around the world. I mean, you're saying they attacked you. I respect it. There's two ways to answer that question. The first thing you can do, and you can make your own decision as a full-grown man, is it about you and your own personal feelings, which it's allowed to be, by the way, or is it about the movement by and large as a whole? Because I've sat down with people who have come out for me guns blazing, but I believe they were 65% on the same side as me. And I defended myself, and I thought, you know what? They're doing more harm than good. And instead of arguing about the color of the wallpaper inside the castle, let's defeat the orcs at the gate first. And then we can start arguing about how we're going to decorate.
Yeah, like, you go and always fight. Like, the arguments are never going to really fucking end. And that's just really what my point is. The arguments are never going to end. So let's just deal with the bigger problems first, and then we could go right back to fighting each other, my nigga. Like, I'm cool with that, bro. You know what I'm saying? On like some Naruto Sasuke shit, bro. Like, we team up, bro, first. You know, we beat the big op, and then we go to the final valley and we duke it out, bro. Like, that's the plan. Like, that's the play.
This room. But that's a decision that you can make personally. I'm not saying what they did is right, and I'm not saying what you did is wrong. That's a decision that you can make. I understand that my timing now with that context would be suspect. I understand that absolutely. But I have nothing against Candace and Tucker. And
where are we at? Let me see. I just want to see time-wise if I'll keep cooking or continue this tomorrow. Yeah. All right. We'll go like 3 more minutes. We'll keep cooking 3 more minutes, and then we'll close out here, and then we'll be back at it again 6 p.m. tomorrow. All right.
The whole CIA agent dad thing, I'd actually like to address that as well. One of the reasons why that holds no weight with me is my father was in the intelligence services. And now there's a whole bunch of people spamming my account saying that I'm a Jewish asset because my father was CIA. But I've been very honest and open about the fact that he was a translator and he spoke 3 languages.
It's because his whole fan base is so used to researching the fuck out of niggas, bro. And that's just generally what you do to realize how most niggas have been able to realize how much influence Jews have in the United States when you start, you know, doing the background checks, when you start going on Wikipedia, when you start realizing who has what ancestry, you start realizing, like, oh shit, that makes sense. So these niggas are so used to like researching the fuck out of niggas, bro. So that's just kind of fucking funny, bro.
Languages. And I was also open about the fact that he was discharged without a pension for not following orders, ended up living in his car, being a traveling chess player. And I had to grow up in a homeless hostel in Luton, England, fighting Kosovans at the age of 11. So if there's some big intel agency op going on, I never got any money from it. And our family grew up destitute. And I grew up in the worst area in England. And now they're throwing me in jail at random. So for anyone to believe that I'm some kind of intelligence op or a Fed is disingenuous. And another thing, and I want to make this clear.
And also to say here too, is like, you never know. As I said earlier, you really never know the truth about anyone. You know, especially due to the fact that people can change or their incentives or motivations can change. I also think that and this actually be the last thing that I kind of talk about here before we close out. But basically, it's important to understand that if you want to trust everyone, you always have to assume everyone is going to act within their own self-interest or their best interest, right? This is the best way to be able to trust anyone or to deal with anyone. If you always believe someone is going to do what is best for them, then nobody can ever betray you. Because betrayal means, or usually when you feel like somebody's untrustworthy or they're a liar or a manipulator, it's because you believe someone is going to do something that is only going to serve them and not serve you at all. So if you just come into every single situation, even when you meet somebody, some people will be like, "Oh, Ollie, that's kind of evil. You should always give people an opportunity." I'm saying, yeah, sure. Basically, it is a situation where it's guilty before proven innocent. You have to kind of come to people and be like, you know what? I want to do this business deal with this one guy, or I want to have this conversation or have this meeting with this one dude, and we have this business deal going on. But I could also assume, hey, if this guy wanted to hurt me, what would he do? Right? If he wanted to, how could he use this situation to make sure I get nothing and he gets everything? Like, assume that could be a possibility. And it's kind of like if you go into situations like that when dealing with other people and you accept that, hey, this could be a potential consequence of dealing with this person and I'm okay with it, it's fine. Right? It's almost like if you expect a betrayal happening, if you expect somebody to backstab you, if you expect people to always work in their best interest, it's like you're always mentally defending yourself. Because okay, this would be the situation, or this is how they would move if they only wanted to benefit themselves. Like, this is how they would move. I'm like, okay, now that I understand this is how they would move, if they move that way, I won't be surprised. And I'll be actually ready to defend myself. You shouldn't just be blindly trusting anyone. Like I said, even to Myron, Tate, Fuentes, all of them could be feds, right? All of them could be someone that they don't claim to be. Obviously trust is earned, and I trust a lot. I trust them. I trust that they actually are who they say they are. At least from all the content that I've watched of them and seen of them, like, they seem like they are who they say they are. And they've taken a lot of shots and a lot of arrows for the shit that they've been doing. And if someone's willing to take that much risk for what they're doing, they must really be who they say they are. But, as I said already, like, people can switch up, people can change. So just to always protect yourself, expect people to always work in their own self-interest. And then you can never be caught off guard. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, that was even a great thing to just close out on, just talking about trust a little bit there and just betrayal and shit like that, but just something to be wary of. So, you know what I'm saying? We're just going to shout out the socials real quick. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll close out here and we'll be back tomorrow. So let's pull this shit up for y'all boys. Make it nice and fast for y'all real fast. Boom, boom, boom. All right, let me get... Okay. 1 second, y'all. All right, first and foremost, streaming on there right now. Appreciate y'all boys watching me on YouTube right now. But yup, check out the YouTube. Ali Aragondade, you know what I'm saying? We're dropping success tips and success videos all day, every day on this motherfucker. So you guys can check that shit out. I actually just dropped 2 podcast videos. They're a bit longer, but I think that'd be really important for you guys to be able to see, whether it be for seeing careers maybe that you want to get into that you never thought about getting into. I could have talked about it yesterday or 2 days ago, both days on the streets of DC. Maybe you could check that shit out, or just dating shit too, because we're talking to women out there in that motherfucker too as well. So check that shit out, Ali Aragondade. And then we got, I didn't even put it in Prezi mode. So there you go. Boom. There y'all go. So appreciate y'all niggas watching me on YouTube. Check me out here, Ali Aragondade. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to grow the fam on here, trying to get massive. So check your boy out. And let me switch that shit right here. And then the IG too. Same thing on the IG. Ali Aragondade. Drop success tips on here too. Check that shit out. Trying to grow the fam everywhere. Ali Aragondade. And then we have the most political app in the world, obviously, being X. So check your boy out on here. Got 5 people watching. Appreciate y'all pulling up. Or 6 people watching. You know what I'm saying? Make sure to like the shit. Fuck with your boy. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to build the fam everywhere, as I just said. So fuck with it. Ali Aragondade. And last but not least, the gayest app, which should be banned, but is never banned. That is TikTok. Fuck with your boy on here. Trying to grow the motherfucker on here, because I know a lot of young guys are on here. So, this is for the fam. It's for young, ambitious men. So that's what I'm trying to, build my audience from, because young men, I think, are the most important demographic of people in any country at any time, because they're the ones who fight and die in wars. They're the ones who are going to lead the country in the future. So being able to teach them very important, valuable things at a young age, it sets up everyone nicely. You know what I'm saying? So fuck with your boy on here. And yeah, man. Otherwise, if you didn't fuck with any of that shit, make sure to like this shit on Rumble so more guys can see this shit. We can keep growing the fam, keep cooking. And yeah, man. So with that being said, I'll catch you boys tomorrow, 6 p.m. You know what I'm saying? Like normal, we'll just keep going hard from there, y'all. So peace out, fam.